All right, we are live in action.
Yes, we
Welcome to New
are.
Thought, New Life. Today is January 21st. I am Kanaya Kennedy, one of your fabulous hostess, along with the illustrious Versandra Jewel Kennebrew.
What's
And we are
up?
happy to be here to talk a little bit, or a lot of it, I should say, about Course in Miracles, and not just talk about it, but really like talk about like how we live it
Hmm.
and how living it makes a difference in our life.
Hmm.
Yes?
Absolutely.
All right. We know what I haven't done. I keep forgetting this. I gotta get better. I need to go live. I have to go back live on Facebook.
Okay.
You would think at this point, well, no, I wouldn't think that because if that was the case, I would do it. But so we're live here on Google Hangouts, on YouTube, and I do this live on my Facebook page so that people who may know, follow me personally on Facebook have an opportunity to find out that this is happening and then hopefully join us in the actual live group. But yeah, how about you, V? I'll let you introduce yourself while I pull myself together.
Okay, well, I think I will start with just helping us to settle in, and we will begin by closing our eyes and just really releasing, breathing in peace, love, joy, and breathing out all things that are not like love. We want to enter into this holy space in our holiness, knowing that we are holy. We are at one. And as we learned on last week, the atonement is all about our at oneness with the source, the creator of all things. And we are just filled with a oh, feeling of gratefulness, gratitude, and we are in this space with expectancy, expecting to hear a word, a message, a thought, a new thought that can heal our minds of illusions, heal our minds of incorrect thinking. And so we come here to this space with the expectancy and with the open mind. We are open and we are grateful. Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes. So, yes, I am Versandra Kennebrew. Um, Many know me as your favorite holistic health expert on Night Watch Expressions. I have been really working on some new content for that program on WRFG 89.3 FM. Some of you know me as the author of several books, including Thank God for the Shelter, I Love Me, the ultimate self care guide for healing artists, and most recently, Touch Me with Love, which is a guide to creative expression for individuals who are lacking loving and nurturing touch. But today, Kanaya and I are here today excited about sharing chapter 2 of A Course in Miracles. And we are studying this book throughout 2018 because it is a guide that can assist all of us with really knowing our true selves and bringing about peace, world peace, more love in the world. And we do this by really going inside of ourselves and making corrections within our own thinking, within our own mind, because what we see outside of ourselves is a projection. They are many projections of illusions that are coming from our thoughts. And so today we are digging into chapter 2, which is the separation and the atonement. So we are digging in a little bit deeper today as we really talk about how anything that is, some people consider it the opposite of love, but in truth there is nothing else but love. So everything else is really illusion. So let's just dig in here and talk about, the first part of this chapter. If we look at pages 23 through 24, is really talking about how do we release from fear. That's really what this chapter is digging into. And so, let's get real going in. We don't have to wait until the afterglow to talk about what's really happening around the world today, because we see it through our televisions, we see it through our radios and our social media channels, and there seems to be a lot of fear all over the place, And, I had to catch myself dealing with a little fear this week as we were dealing with the looming idea of the government shutdown. If you are
Mm-hmm.
tuning in live, we hope that you will take a moment now and join in the conversation. If you have had some thoughts or feelings this week related to fear of what is to come, based around this whole government shutdown, based around the things that are at stake if the budget is accepted or if the budget is not accepted. We're talking about, taking the lives of children and using them as bargaining chips for a budget. How do you feel about that? How has it affected you during your week this week? Because your thoughts around that could very well be thoughts that are rooted in fear. So, let's talk about it. So, if you're not in the
Yeah, so
conversation, yeah,
if you
go
want to
ahead,
be in the
Kamaya.
conversation, you want to visit us in the Hangout live. And
Hmm.
if you go to the New Thought page, we have the weekly Hangout option, and you can,
Hmm.
discuss with us live. And
Yeah.
if I'm watching my live stream, so if you want to throw a comment in, you guys have a little bit of a delay, I think so, but it all works.
Right.
I'll say this for me, enough. It's not even oddly. I really have not experienced the fear around this. But
Hmm.
part of it reminds me of what I was reading in the text, because it talks about how when you've had that kind of spiritual awakening,
Hmm.
when you get to the whole like there has to be something better, and then it shifts you into this mode where you're beginning to have your awakening to your divine self,
Hmm.
you begin not to be able to tolerate fear,
Hmm.
right? Or error thinking.
Hmm.
So when I'm aware of the shutdown and what
Hmm.
I think is this foolishness that's happening,
Hmm.
but it was not communicating to me as something to be concerned for.
Right.
Do it have some, I would say, more sadness than I would say
Hmm.
fear. And
Right.
like the sadness for me is just in the, how are we not, like, that we're not thinking about loving and taking care of one another. Like that's
Hmm.
not our primary goal.
Hmm.
That's what's there for me a lot of times when I think about politics and what we're having, what we experience in our political landscape is the
Right.
lack of love. And in
Hmm.
it, for me, there's a sadness there. And it also becomes the reminder that I have work to do and
Yes.
my part of bringing the love in.
Yes.
Like, oh, we're missing love. Because obviously
Hmm.
we're missing love, because if there'd be no way you'd be using, children the bargain, like it wouldn't be possible. And so for me, it's
Yes.
like, oh, we have a job to bring more love in. So no, not so much
Yeah.
fear, but I can definitely say sadness is present if I allow myself to think about it.
Right. Absolutely. And, same thing for me. All week long, I was just so grounded in this lesson that we have been, learning every single day. We are reading and we're looking at some of the affirmations. I call them affirmations, but they're statements that can really help us to stay grounded in the truth. And I didn't have fear to creep up until Friday. And
Okay.
Friday, it was like a lot of things that happened in my work site, and because this is, the work that I'm doing is voluntary, but there is somewhat of a stipend that is offered to me for my year of volunteer work. And that stipend comes from the federal government. And I had to quickly, very quickly, get into my affirmations that God is my source of all
Mm-hmm.
things. And the fact that anything that is material that I have in my possession, it is for a period in time. It's for the use of, doing what we're doing right now. It's for the use of spreading more love. It's for the use of bringing about more peace and joy in my life and the lives of those who I have in my circle of influence. And so I had to really dig in and just look, well, if I feel that I won't, receive this stipend, which I got a letter stating that I won't, it's like, okay, so what else?
Yeah.
That since God is not my, I mean, God is my source and the
My source.
federal
Yeah.
government is not, it's like, how do I use what I already have in exchange for what I think I need? you know so if I'm looking at, my daily bread, which I know comes from God, but the refrigerator, which is where you put your daily bread, if it looks a little empty, it's like, how do I put more in the empty refrigerator? And then I had to look, okay, so I've gone through similar situations before, so what do I need to get rid of? What do I need to release in exchange for what it is that I feel that I need? Yes, I should have faith. Yes, I should know that God is going to take care of this because God always does. But what is it that I could possibly be releasing that could benefit someone else, but still benefit me in the areas that I need? So, I just want to get
Well,
to some
can
of
I
the
just
tech.
to
Yes.
that point, because see, this is real life. So in real life, you're studying this work, and in real
Mm-hmm.
life, so there's a situation happening in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That impacts, like, so it's
Mm-hmm.
something that you have to consider. Like for me, it's kind of conceptual. Like it's out there to some extent, right? I can be sad about it,
Right.
but I didn't get a letter that says my rental properties will not be paid this month,
Right.
right? Because like that would then create, like that would then make it real,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when it required me to actually use this work to apply,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, the lessons of this work.
Right.
So I just acknowledge you for being like on the court. What does it look like to live it versus it sounds good?
Right.
And we talk about God is our supply. About, like, we'll get to this in the text, but in the text, I'll see if I can find it in my notes. But in the notes, I'll summarize it. It says something to the extent of, before you choose, consult with the divine.
Mm.
Is going to happen, and there'll be circumstances when you'll be able to choose fear, love, or you'll be able
Yeah.
to operate from lack. And in those real moments, that's the instruction. You take a
Mm-hmm.
moment, you can acknowledge, oh my God, I'm feeling some fear around, insert whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. And
Yes.
I know that fear is not real. So what's the tool I have? Let me go reflect and let me consult with the divine and ask,
Yeah.
what is there for me to do? I
Yeah.
know that the federal government is not my source. I know God is my source. And given that I just got this letter that says that this federal government's, tool of the divine
Right.
provide this check, okay, spirit, what is there for me to do? Because I know you're my
Exactly.
source. But that takes something to like live
Yeah.
it. And so I just acknowledge you. I'm acknowledging you for doing
Thank
that
you. And I
and living
receive
this work
all of that.
versus making it like it sounds great, but this is real life. Real stuff is
Real
happening
life.
to us. Okay.
Absolutely. And some of our viewers, our listeners, are going through similar thoughts related to this. So I just want to read a little something that, really jumped out at me related to this course. It says, all release from fear is the release from mistaken thinking stemming from the desire to experience independence from God. We are released from fear as we are willing to let go of thinking we are separate from God. As we let go of what is not true, our mind is healed. In truth, we
Mm.
are eternal spirit. We are formless love in one undivided whole. Now, that is again something to get excited about. It's something to be just really, ecstatic about in the midst of all of this. I mean, I started thinking about that and not just thinking about the words that I'm reading right now, but think about the experiences in my life which have proven this to be true. I remember, in our first broadcast, we gave a lot more information about ourselves and about our spiritual walk and our how we came into Christianity and our belief systems and those type of things. But I have to tell you that during those early days, I used to hear people get up and testify, and they had their testimonies about how God had done this and that and brought them out of this and that. And as a younger woman, I would say, well, I've never experienced any of that, so I thank God and God is awesome, but I don't know God in that way.
Mhm.
But today at 50 plus, I know God in all of those ways to be the source that I'm talking about. And so, yes, it's easy to go back to something that you've been drilling. And it's not because I'm putting something new in, because our perfect, whole, and complete spirit knows all truth, it's already there. So it's just a resonance. And when you read it and you have this resonance in your spirit that says, ah, you can relax because this is the truth. That is a wonderful thing. But if you don't have this story, this book to refer to, or any other references to refer to that remind you of the truth, then you can get caught up. And so this is another thing that came to my mind as I was reading this, because it talks about what is the sign that there is error in our mind. And it says, when we join with the false idea of being separate from what we are, our mind is sick. We are not in our right mind. And I had to go to even another book, A Whole New Mind. I think I might have told you about that, Kanaya, one time, but it talks about right and left brain thinking. And this has
Mhm.
nothing to do with this, but when I read the words, we are not in our right mind, I automatically went to the left brain and thought about the differences there. The left brain being this analytical, oh, it's, this, that,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Very
very
material.
much that.
Yeah.
Yes, but then thinking about the creative mind, the
Mhm.
right brain, and thinking about God being a creator and us being expressions of that infinite or all encompassing creator, we are creators as well. And so with that right mind or right brain, even, we can be able to create thoughts and things through right thinking. And so I was just really into that thing,
Yes,
how spirit was
but that's
guiding
very
me.
powerful. That is so
Yes.
powerful because so to me, as I'm, in this, we went through chapter 2 of the text this week. So we're going through the
Mhm,
text and we're also doing the lessons in the workbook. And the reason
mhm,
behind that is that Course in Miracles ultimately is about, honestly, even say, Sandra, is getting into your right brain. We
mhm,
know now about neuroscience, right? Your right brain operates
right.
the left side of your body. We know that the left side of your body tends to be the more divine feminine side of the body. We're talking about the creative aspect, whereas your left brain and your right side, analytical side, it's about things you can touch, taste in the physical world. And of course, the spiritual work, this is not physical world about.
Mm-mm.
So it's very much around left brain. I'm sorry, right brain. Brain. It's very much right
Mm-hmm.
brain.
Yes.
The text, it talks about a result of error thinking,
Yes.
believe not being in your right mind, of
Mm-hmm.
understanding really who you are and what's true. And it's a result of you believing and giving truth to fear,
Mm-hmm.
fear and lack, fear and sickness, fear whatever. And it's beautiful. Lessons this week, it was all really, to me, the lessons were about helping us to get really clear about how much meaning we apply this world, things that we can see, tangible, things that are physical, things that happen in the moments, and we continue to pretend as if that's true. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything that is in the past has happened. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over. There's no going back. There's no changing it. So why dwell there?
Right.
At the very end of the chapter, when it talked about to do is begin to look back at what you've created
Mm-hmm.
past, whether it's things or comes. This spoke to me poignantly. I'll say this because I'm in the midst of a
Yes.
healing journey that has physical but I'm very
Yes.
clear that it's ultimately it comes from my mind. Back on what you did, look over what you've and find what is good
Right.
just on that.
Yes.
Release it.
Mm-hmm.
Lessons are what are helping you helping anyone who's doing this work retrain your mind. Reading the text is wonderful and it gives you things theoretically, but what's so great about A Course in Miracles is then you're given actionable steps to take so that you can apply it and you begin to transform your mind. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, Spirit had me attend a excuse me, a workshop yesterday. Natasha Ulrich's Healing from the Soul.
Mm.
She's a wonderful, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, come on now, sister who her focus is what's called soulful selling and mission-driven entrepreneurs, people like me, people like you. And what we focused on partly in this was really understanding how we let go of whatever stories past. And this is money in your business and marketing, but soulful marketing, soulful sales, so that we can promote and share what we do authentically and whatnot. So it's beautiful. Reminded me of the work I'm doing here. So I knew that, when I say Spirit directed me, literally opportunity to show up for the class came. Thoughts in my mind about money, time, whatever. And what did I do? I took a moment, I stopped, and I consulted with Spirit, and I asked, shop tomorrow. And Spirit was like, yeah, you need to be there. Rearrange whatever going on in your schedule. And I did. I was obedient. And then in the workshop, of course, there's an opportunity to register until the 3-day. Before I signed any paperwork, committed any money, same thing. I had to ask Spirit, is this the next step? Or what is the next step? Because there were some different options. And then Spirit told me, here's what your next step is. So now I made the decision, I put the deposit down, and I do all of that with no fear. Why?
Right.
Because I consult with the divine before making any decision, particularly if it's a decision that I have some concern, right? Whether
Right.
the fear be monetary, like, ooh, it costs whatever. Should I? Because oh, listen, I was just getting my life in this text this week because part of the text was talking about how sometimes we're trying to do this work, okay, and we know that we're not supposed to walk with fear because God has our back, right? I know this
Yeah.
intellectually with left brain. I get it. I've read it. I get intellectually, but how I feel sometimes, I do have fear. Okay. And so what I'll do is I'll do it anyway because I understand intellectually
Right.
that God has my back. and that if I'm being directed to do something, I should do it. And what it talked about in the text is how sometimes we try to correct our mind through behaviors,
Right.
and how that creates strain and tremendous
Yeah.
strain. That is where a part of my quote unquote sickness is that I
Yeah.
have been operating trying to do this, but not really feel it. So I'm
Mm.
taking steps and I'm taking actions aligned
Mhm.
with what I say I believe, but I haven't had things settled in my heart and in my mind.
Mhm.
And that has created tremendous strain on my body and on my spirit
Mhm.
and on my mind, or on my mind, I should say, which then has a result in my body.
Mhm.
So it goes back to again, what there is for me to do is to heal my mind.
Yes. Yes. It was powerful, definitely powerful to read this lesson again, powerful to put in action the exercises in this lesson because there's just so much for us. And the reality is, there is programming that's going on every single day, all day long. And where it says in the beginning of this course that this is a different type of program. Yeah, we're reprogramming the mind to think and to be as if it is, or was it as it was created to be,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of with the illusions. And so it was just so powerful. And I got to go to this one right here. Oh my God, I pulled this up too. How do we miscreate? It says that when we believe in separation and cherish our individuality, we are miscreating. This is called sickness and not right mindedness. The instrument of miscreation is the body. It was made as a learning device to teach ourselves that the physical world of teach ourselves that the physical world of separate bodies is real. Oh my God. And that really gets me back to this whole touch thing and why I'm feeling that we have to reconnect with each other. I'm saying physically because I'm a touch artist and I'm a massage therapist, and that's my area of expertise. But recognizing when you see the disconnection, even of bodies, that shows how
Mm-hmm.
deeply embedded this misthinking has come. Because it's one thing to say, okay, this body is doing all the work, it's doing everything, rather than the mind, the divine mind inside. This is just the vessel, or if you even think of it as the temple, we need to get back to that. If you think of it as that, the temple, then you know that the temple holds whatever the divine artifacts and things that people really, feel are invaluable. They put them in the temple. So in this temple, we should be putting these invaluable, great, um, very worthy, and things that are of utmost importance. We should put them inside the temple and allow the body to protect it and keep it safe and all that kind of stuff. So in our mind and in our thinking, we should be listening to things like the Course in Miracles, or listening to messages and programming that's coming from people and individuals that are connected and rooted and grounded in the source and divine teachings and divine words of reflection and things we can share. We put those things inside of the body, that means when the body starts thinking that it's, egotistically taking over things, what's going to come out from it is all the stuff we've put inside the temple. So that means that our thought patterns, that means that the words that we're going to be saying are all words that came from that divinity. And that's where we got to go to. So I just started first thing in the morning, just filling myself up with the goodness and with the love thoughts and those type of things, so that
Mm-hmm.
I can project out those things rather than project out the feelings of insecurity or feelings of fear.
Yeah. So, we're both in the world of holistic healing. You are a touch artist, so definitely your work around how we of this that's housing the altar, right? Because
Yes.
we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Like that's
Mhm.
one of the things we're talking about. I am not this body. As fabulous as it is, this is not me, right? The essence
Like you
of me is
created it.
not this body. I created it, great, but it's used to experience the physical world.
Yes.
And here's the thing. So I'm into holistic health and healing is because the body that I'm using well do.
Yes.
But at the same time, many of people, always think of someone like a Stephen Hawking, right? Who has many
Yes.
limitations. Dude is like killing the game. So at the same time, if your physical body has limitations, it's also not an excuse not to accomplish things.
Thank you.
Mind is the real magic, not the brain.
Right.
And so the inside of my health work, I love them because we do so much education. And so one of the things that were inside of it, it's like it's not you are what you eat because you are what you absorb.
Ah.
So that's emotional, that's all of it. So if we put into our temples programming or products or nutrients or things that do not serve our highest, best, and good, what we produce with this will not be for our highest, best, and good. And on the
Absolutely.
opposite side is true. So you
Mhm.
want to be aware, what are you listening to? This goes to the
Mhm.
music. I'm a
Mhm.
dancer as well, so I love music and dance, right?
Mhm.
So the words that you're listening, that's part of what you consume and you absorb.
Mhm.
While I don't spend a lot of time watching the news, until I find a newscast that is operating from New Thought principles and principles of love, I cannot
Yes.
watch a lot of news because it's
Yes.
programming us to have fear, concern, that we're violent, that things are separate, that we're different, that there are people we're
Mhm.
supposed to fear because they're from a different country or different belief
Right.
system.
Mm. Mm.
That's not programming I'm willing to put into my mind.
No, not at all.
And so I limit it. And when I very limited the foods, when you really start to get right minded,
Mm.
you healthy eating won't even it won't be hard
Right.
because it will be the only thing that makes sense to do.
Yes.
See, at this point in the game for me, it's hard to go and eat quote unquote bad food. Like I'll consciously be like, well, I want the experience, for example, of traditional soul food, which may not be the best for the body, but there's a feeling, right, that goes along with like making things or eating things the way my grandma and them made it. But it's not my everyday
Mhm.
because I'm in my right mind. And so I want to
Mhm.
put food in that nourishes me. So like it's a natural, I don't have to think about dieting. I don't have to be like, oh, should I eat this? Like, no. I crave it.
Exactly.
I crave out. And when I don't know whether something is healthy or not before I put it in my body, I'm going to research it.
Right.
Why? I'm in my right mind,
Mhm.
loving myself, loving the body, loving the temple. I only want to put good things in. If
Absolutely.
I'm around people who are talking mess, gossiping, tearing other folks down, ooh, I intuitively want to remove myself from the environment because it feels toxic. I'm like,
Yes.
ooh, and it's not even like a judgment, like y'all shouldn't do none of that. Okay, I just go away. Like
Yes.
so this is what we're talking about. When you're right-minded, your life will reflect it. How you know you're not right-minded? Honestly, take a look around you.
Yes.
What are you eating? What are you listening to? What kind of conversations are you entertaining? This is
Mm-hmm.
how you, it's easy to look at. I can look at someone's life and figure out, are they in
Right.
their right mind or they're not?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
then if you know you're not in your right mind, as we just said, you can begin to reprogram yourself so that you get into your right mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the lessons in A Course in
Yeah.
Miracles are important.
Yes.
It's reprogram. It's a whole course designed to help you reprogram yourself so that you become right-minded. And as you become
Yeah.
right-minded, you'll be like, "Oh, Coach Kanaya or Coach V, I'm ready to like take on my health and well-being. I may not know how to do it
Yeah.
because I wasn't raised or taught this, but I know I want it." And then you
Right.
go seek it out, and all of a sudden, your life begins to change. The choices you
Yes.
make changes. Your body will begin to
Absolutely.
change. You'll be like, "Oh my goodness, you don't recognize yourself. You'll be a totally different human being." And it won't even be because you had to do a whole, but it'll be like because you change your mind, baby, change your life. Look at this is
Yes.
what's on my cup. I bought the cup because the cup spoke to me.
Hey.
And I like the lady with her hair wrapped. She's
Oh,
fabulous, but
yes.
still.
New thought,
But it
new
spoke to me. I'm
mind.
like, this is it. New thought, new life. Girl, I
Yes.
know I just had a whole thing, but Lord, I'm feeling it today.
Yes, and I'm feeling it too. And as you were just mentioning that wonderful point, I really had to dig in because something, the pen just kind of stuck in. You separate yourself from the things that are not serving your highest good. But in that separation, I had this wonderful thing happen to me this week, and I'll get to that in that separation. But me of how even in that separation we cannot be isolated. We might feel that, okay, they doing all this crazy stuff, I don't want to be a part of it, but where is the work that needs to be done? Do we need to go and hang around people who have already thinking in their right mind and they're already understanding who they are? Is that where we're going to get the greatest work done? No, we get the work
Mm-mm.
done by implanting ourselves in the midst, but not staying there and hanging out forever, but knowing that when
Yes.
spirit is guiding us to be around certain groups of people and stuff, there is a mission that we are acting in. So let me just tell you about what happened to me. So Kanaya, you know that I have been really looking at my target market for the Touch Artist Certification Program. And so I know through the research, through divine guidance and everything, it's all aligned that my target market are people that are in ministry, people that are healing artists, people who are looking to add more value to the work that they're doing already. So they see the need for us coming together and touching and becoming intimate and communicating more, especially couples and then individuals who are seeking to be in these lifelong relationships, and maybe they have some childhood issues that they have not worked through and that type of thing. So they are in need of healing to prepare them for these relationships, right? And so I get
Right.
this inbox on Facebook, and it's telling me about a friend, actually telling me about a woman who is moving to Atlanta from Philadelphia. And the friend in Philadelphia was like, Brasandra, I know you are just automatically in line with what she is doing, and I want to introduce you, and she's coming to town, and I want you guys to meet. So that right there is divine in itself, because when you have friends like you, Kanaya, that are constantly steering people my way. Listen, I never am without a client because I have people that are referring folks to me all the time. So thank you, Kanai. But this sister in Philly sent me this woman, and she's like, you got to meet her. And when she sent the lady my name, she's like, what's her last name? And she said, Kenny Bruce. She's like, I know her. I went to high school with her. So
Oh my
here I
gosh.
am in Atlanta being introduced to a woman who went to high school with me in 1980, 81,
Girl.
82, by way of Philadelphia. And guess who she is? She is a Christian talk therapist. So she has her master's in talk therapy, in counseling, and she has
Wow.
couples that she works with that have intimacy and communication issues, and she doesn't do that. So
Wow.
she's like, we're sitting there having breakfast and just, just catching up and talking about what's up in the world. And then we finally get into this whole thing about how we can support one another. But that too is divine. So she was saying to me, well, who do you talk to? Do you have a therapist? Do you have people who you can, share with? And I said, oh, besides my friend Kanaya and, my roommate, my partner here, what else is there? But then it made me really look at, am I being isolated to a certain degree?
Mm.
And so as I was reading this text and putting all of this together, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got to get out there more. So even though I'm doing this global call or global hangout with people all over the world, I still must get out and not be as isolated and share this message of love, this message of truth, this message of peace. And so, yeah, it's exciting because we can use this text that we are studying throughout 2018, and put it into our daily lives, our daily functioning, and we can be what God created us to be. And that is creators, co-creators in the universe that we desire to see with our eyes, even with our physical eyes. We can literally change the structure, the molecular structure of things through our thoughts. So naturally, that means we too can change what we see in the world around us, whether it comes from the political landscape, whether it comes from another aspect of, things in our day-to-day lives. We can shift, we can shape shift, we can in broadcasting we are called air shifters. We can shift things through our thinking, but our thinking must be right thinking. So yes, this Course in Miracles is definitely helping with that. And I'm just going to touch on one more thing, because I know that our time, we want to make sure we are respecting. Oh my God, it goes by so quickly.
I know, right?
Yes.
And I was with you. I was having some technical challenges. Everything became unplugged somehow, so everything was getting ready to shut down. I'm like, "What's happening?"
I
And so
kept seeing live, so
I
I
was
said, okay, we're
troubleshooting.
good. So before I touch on this last thing, I know our time is almost up. Did you want to interject anything, Kanaya?
No, no, no. Not from that topic. I just, again, it's just when we talk about God as source. To me, that circles right back to that, where having clients being referred, things like that. Is great, and we have to do it. I mean, whatever, like you have to market. I mean, not that you don't do that, but ultimately understanding that the best marketing campaign, it's like the universe, spirit, whatever you want to look at it, right, sends to you. You never know how it's going to come.
Yes.
You'll never imagine. Like you said, here's just someone, like you get referrals. But the only way people can know to refer things to you is if you're communicating and you're sharing who you are. That was my point, because I knew there was something that was there. Yes.
Yes.
We don't want to immerse ourselves in negativity, what we could say, thinking. I like that a little better.
Yes. Yes.
To isolate. Well, and this I also felt acutely, because I found was becoming very isolated, because being in the world and of the world, there's a wonderful scripture, I can't think of it right now, but basically it says you can be in the world but not of the world. But I was having a lot of trouble being in the world because I was being overwhelmed. I'm also very insensitive, and it was just it was hard, and so I began to withdraw, and I wanted to do a lot of things from behind the screen, remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit had to remind me, we need you, me, like we need you on the court out there in the world. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I accept that challenge, God. Help me do that without feeling I'm getting beat
Help
up,
me.
because
Yes.
I'm not a glutton for punishment. And I knew I needed to find my tribe. I needed to make sure I had enough like-minded people around me, that safe space, that refuge. I love my home. I have created a wonderful space here that is awesome to me. It's comfortable, it smells good, it looks good, it is everything I like in it. But
Yeah.
being here by myself, highest, best, and good, and doesn't have me fulfilling upon who I am here to be. I have accepted my call to ministry, not just in the spiritual sense, but also in the world of dance, in the world of herbal consult, all of the things I'm here to do,
Mm-hmm.
here for it. And my request of the divine to bring me has
Yes.
also been fulfilled.
Yes.
And for that, I'm grateful, because I
Mm.
didn't necessarily want to be isolated, but at the same time, I can't be out here in crazy land with crazy
Yes.
people. So,
Yes.
um, and also not having releasing the fear, because again, we're operating either fear or love, no longer keeping people around,
Mhm.
or bodies.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
If this body, it does not align with who I am and does not honor who I am, releasing said body and trusting that spirit will bring in our bodies.
Yes. Yes.
And not even so much, you can apply that to intimate relationships. You can also apply that to friendships. You can apply that
Yes.
to family.
Mm-hmm.
I get we have a culture that talks about family and it's so important, but let me tell you, family can be toxic. And if your family is toxic, you do not have to continue to keep family
Yeah.
around you who does not honor and support and love you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
not like cut them off. We're not saying it's not that, but it's
We're
just
not
you
being
get to
mean.
decide if when there's some family who I treat just like I do that TV, just enough to stay happening, but I'm not all up in that mess. Oh no, therapy. I have myself in therapy because
Yes.
having to learn that balance.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can only save
Yes.
people who are interested in salvation.
Oh my goodness.
And baby, I can't help you. Let me know when you're
Yes.
ready. I'm here for you, but I'm
Yes.
not gonna drown trying to save you. But
Mm-mm.
that's what was there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's your last
Yes.
point? Fabulous.
Well, my final point is just like you said, in the midst of whatever it is that you're seeking in the world, God reveals itself, and I like to use it instead of he, because even though
Gender.
we have,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this whole thing, but God reveals itself to us through other people, just like you stated. This is how God shows up in the world, is through people and through its own creation. Just put it that way. And so when this person is coming to me, what I see is God coming to me, because just as I am the manifestation of God, so are you, so are any other people who are doing the work and will of God. And so when we see that coming in our direction, when we are feeling that we're in this place of need, that's all we are seeing is God coming to us, answering our call, answering the prayers that we put out there, answering the thoughts or the desires of our heart through other people. And I am just so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for eyes to see. That's my final point.
Wonderful. Um, this week, I'll say for my life have been one, consult with the divine, consult with God, make a choice,
Mhm.
and is really about right-mindedness. And also understanding that right-minded is not a sin and it's not evil. Status, and that the interim, using whether it be medication, herbs, oils, whatever tools one chooses to use to symptom manage, because that's ultimately what we do, right? While we get our mind right. And it's an act of love for yourself.
Yes, it is.
And so that's like for me where I've been loving myself, using all the tools available to me to manage my symptoms while I continue mind right. So it's like, get your mind right, love on yourself, and ask God.
That's it.
That's the week for me.
Okay.
All right. Well, if anyone's watching this on the replay, we thank you for taking the time to be with us. For those of you who popped in live, time to watch. Make sure you join us in our New Thought, New Life discussion group on Facebook, where you can always ask questions throughout the week. If you're doing the lessons, you have questions. We like to drop little nuggets of wisdom in there as well. If you want to find myself or Versandra, you can find us online at vkipersonaldevelopment.com, at adivamedicinewoman.com. Two places you can find us if you want to connect. And I'd say until the next time, be well, stay fabulous.
Absolutely. Love and peace.
Love and peace.